Hello, everyone. Pastor Ben here. It's Friday. You made it. The weekend's here, and I am anticipating a great time to be with you all this coming Sunday. And I hope that you're making plans to be a part of what we are doing as we gather this weekend. Just want to remind you of our service times. At 9 a.m. is our Spanish service. Our Sunday school begins at 9:45, and our English service is at 10:45. Not many announcements I need to share with you this week, but just want to remind you of the upcoming Caring Pregnancy Center annual banquet that's coming up on January 29th. So, your opportunity to buy tickets or sponsor a table or that type of thing is coming up soon. So, just encourage you to support that ministry and what is happening there. So, this Friday, I want to share with you where I'm at and what I anticipate to be sharing with you this Sunday. We're going to continue through Acts. We're going to be covering quite a bit more ground this week. We're going to begin in chapter 10 and go all the way through chapter 11, verse 18. And this is a pretty pivotal and important part of Scripture. This is another one of those hinge points that we see in what God is trying to communicate to the early church. As I was thinking about this, I was thinking about times that I've had an agenda, a motivation to do something or complete something, right? And we all kind of approach things with an agenda, right? And as a church, we need to have an agenda. This agenda, obviously, we want to be praying and seeking God and what is His agenda and join Him in that. But sometimes I think we may get off track. Sometimes we may confuse our agenda with God's agenda, and sometimes those things become in conflict. I see this kind of taking place here in Acts chapter 10 and 11. There's this idea, this perception that Peter has and many of the other disciples, and the Lord has tried to make it clear a few different times, but here He just really has to interrupt what's going on in Peter's heart and life to reorientate him back towards the agenda that the Lord really truly has. And so, as we left off last week in chapter 9, Peter is staying at Simon the tanner's house. And this was a significant, there's a small sentence that mentions this, but it's significant because Peter staying at this man's house, a tanner was viewed by the Jewish people as somebody that was just perpetually unclean. And so this was kind of problematic, and it was just, I felt like it was significant. And then in chapter 10 and 11, this interruption, it seems like, is carried out. Peter is staying there at the Simon the tanner's house, and he gets this vision, this sheet that's let down from heaven by four corners, and in it are all of these different types of animals, and many of them that were considered unclean by the Jews, and how they were instructed to treat those animals clear back in Genesis and Leviticus. So this is kind of this vision that Peter gets. These animals are let down in the sheet, and the Lord tells him, kill and eat. And Peter kind of argues and says, no, I couldn't do that. They're unclean. And God interrupts him and says, don't declare anything unclean that I have made clean. And in this vision, Peter wrestles with, try to understand the meaning. Cornelius is this centurion soldier we also get this story of him being introduced at this same time. The Lord has this intention of interrupting Peter's agenda with this agenda that God really has the heart of everyone else in mind in letting them know about the hope and the message of the gospel. This agenda that the Lord has is interrupted in Peter's vision. And it was not so much about the food that he was to eat or not eat, but but more about the people that he should love. And so this is the beginning of that interruption and perception in Peter's life, and the Lord's agenda for the church, and the agenda that Peter had. As this all unfolds, Peter then returns back to Jerusalem and has this meeting with the rest of the disciples. They're wondering what is going on, and Peter tells them this vision, tells them what happened at Cornelius' house. And in Acts 10:43, Peter says, "Everyone who believes in him, Jesus, shall receive forgiveness of sins through his name," which is the same message that Peter's been saying, but now through the agenda that this isn't just for Jews. This is for everyone. And the Lord is reestablishing his agenda in the heart of the disciples, in the mission of the church going forward. So that's what's taking place in Acts chapter 10 and 11. And I just really was impressed by this idea of this agenda that Peter had, and how the Lord interrupts it, which gets me to thinking about my agenda, your agenda, our church's agenda. Are we on the Lord's agenda? Is there something that he intends to interrupt in our life to reorientate our hearts and align it back with his? I'm excited to share the rest of this message on Sunday. It's kind of hard not to just dive in and almost preach this message to you now, but I want you to be asking this already of the Lord as you prepare to gather together this Sunday. What is the agenda that I have, and does it line up with the Lord's? Is my heart aligned with his? I want to be sure that I'm in step with him, and that we as a church, as we're endeavoring to reach our community with the hope of the gospel, that our hearts are orientated with the Lord. So that's what I've got for you this Friday. I'm excited for our time together. It's Friday. We celebrate. The weekend's here. But even better, this Sunday, we get to gather and worship the Lord together. So I'm excited for our time together. I pray that you are too, and I'm praying for you as we gather this week. God bless.